Hi everyone, it's Shar and welcome back to my channel. So today we're back with another speed build. I was inspired to do this because I am creating a save file for myself and I'm actually in my legacy family save file. And because the Not So Berry challenge is a legacy challenge, I wanted to redo the world to my own taste. And of course, because now I have my YouTube channel, I wanted to take you all through that process. And not just the process of building the lots for the world, but also the process of creating the Sims and the families and the storylines for the people who live in the world. Because what's the most annoying part of The Sims is when you're playing and the Sims literally have no background, no skills, no job. They're all unemployed. They're all doing nothing. They all know nothing. So the save file will really just help me have more storytelling with the Not So Berry challenge and really allow me to play with the character and to have the characters in my challenge meet people more organically and have these people have their own backgrounds, their own stories, and their own lots, and to have the lots be more suited to my taste. Now, of course, a save file is a huge task because it requires me to rebuild every single world. So I'll probably be doing this for several years. But I'm very excited just because I know it's going to change how I play the game in this file. And I could even download it and I'll make it available for everyone, although I do use CC. So that's going to be a little bit of a barrier. I'll figure out how to do that as I actually get closer to the save file being done. This is literally lot number 1. So with this home, I initially had the idea that I wanted it to be a 2-family home, or a 2-bedroom home rather, but I couldn't make that work just because the lot wasn't big enough. We're on a 20 by 15 lot and this house ultimately ends up being about 68,000 simoleons. So it's definitely not a starter family home, which is what I was aiming for, because I imagine that this part of Oasis Springs is actually a medium wealth kind of area. It's where most middle class families live, and in my mind this is a very middle class home. So I really enjoy the way this house comes out, and my idea for my save file is that Oasis Springs would definitely be very, very inspired by Mexico, and I have tons of pictures on my phones that I use for inspiration for architecture of certain neighborhoods in Mexico. Specifically, Mexico City is what I am modeling the architecture off of, and certain neighborhoods in Mexico City. And I had a picture of this beautiful home that I absolutely loved. And that is what we're building right now. And of course, I make modifications, I make tweaks, and as I build this home, the family comes together. But first, I play around with the roof tile because I wanted to make sure that it fit with the theme and with the photo that I was using, and that I was just being as true as I can be in The Sims to the architecture of the home and the architectural style and the backstory. So this home that we're building actually belongs to the Dominguez family. And the Dominguez family is a relatively wealthy family in Oasis Springs, although they have since moved away. They've moved across another part of the world. I don't know where, but this is their home. They retain that home, and it's one of the many properties that they own across the entire world, not just Oasis Springs, that they rent out. And this home is currently being rented out for however long they need it to the family that moves in here. And the family that moves in here is Andres and Maya Vargas. And they are a family from America. Andres is Mexican-American and Maya is Peruvian. And Andres is in the business career, and he just recently got offered an opportunity to move to Mexico and help them establish a new branch of their business here in Oasis Springs, aka Mexico, in my save file. And Andres, like I said, is Mexican-American, and he was really eager for the opportunity to kind of get back to these roots, I guess. He's always been curious about his family and where his family comes from and the family that he still has in Mexico, and is just really eager for the opportunity to reconnect with himself and his history and his family's history in this way. He's a newlywed. He just married Maya. Maya is obviously his wife. Maya is an archaeologist. She's a freelancer at this save file, but you don't need to worry about that. But she's an archaeologist, and she's really excited to move to Mexico as well because she gets to do a lot of digs while she's here and just learn more about that history and that area. So this is their home, and I make it very, very gardeny because I imagine that Maya is a kind of sim who loves to spend times outdoors. She loves plants. She loves nature. She just loves the atmosphere and the environment, and I want to make it a little bit more traditional in its nature. Not super traditional, but just a little bit more traditional, and I'm using a photo for inspiration. It took me such a long time to place those like individual plots and those individual like plants and hanging plants, but I think it turns out absolutely beautiful. And I love the way the back garden looks. They don't have a pool, but it makes sense to me because they are still in the middle class area of Oasis Springs here, so they wouldn't necessarily have a pool. The pool is reserved for the most wealthy area of Oasis Springs, which is going to be kind of like the equivalent of the hills where the Landgrab family lives, although the Landgrab family will not exist in this particular save file, or at least not in this domain. So I am taking care of all the landscaping, and for the first time I'm actually allowing you to see the landscaping for this build and how I put it together and everything that goes into it, just because I tend to cut it out because it takes such a long time. But landscaping is something like building that I'm trying to get better at, so it's taking me a little bit of a while, but I'm actually really happy with how the house turns out and just how like nice I think it is. So the family that lives here, I told you that the it's like the father or the son. He's not the father, he's not the son. The husband, Andres, I told you, he's a businessman, so he has his little office set up in the living room, and for him this is more of a cultural excursion and a chance for him to reconnect with his family, as well as to establish himself as a regional manager in this area. Andres and Maya do not know how long they're going to be in Oasis Spring, how long they're going to be in Mexico, but I imagine it's going to be a few years at least. And I found this little flamingo in the catalog, and I was like, of course I have to use it. And I'm altering the floor plan here because the bedroom's a little bit too small. I was initially going to have the bathroom be at the front of the house and then the bedroom be closer to the living room, but I realized I didn't like the idea that the first thing you would see as you were walking past the house is looking into the bathroom. I didn't think that made sense, so I made the bedroom there. And some homes do actually have the bedroom at the front of the house. So in my mind, that made more sense. You know what's crazy is I just built this house this morning, literally like this morning a few hours ago, and I'm already forgetting everything that I put down. So as I'm recording this voiceover, I get to watch with you all what goes into the home. You're going to not see things. You're going to see things in the screenshots that you do not see in the speed build, and that's because I add them in after I move in Andres and Maya, because as I like develop their skills and their storyline and more of their backstory, I realize that Maya is also a painter, so I give her an easel, and that she's a spiritual sim, so I give her a meditation like table thing, the stand, I forget the name of it, the thing that they meditate on, and a yoga mat, because that's definitely part of her aesthetic, but not really. It's just part of what it is that she likes to do. And of course we have a computer for Andres to do his work. And the bathroom is really funny in my mind because I love the first layout that I do with the shower and the tub separately, but I realize as I'm like putting down the counters and the mirrors and the lights and all that stuff, I actually put a lot of effort into this bathroom, and I'm happy with how it turns out. Well, not a lot of effort, more than I usually put in, but I realize there's no toilet in this bathroom. And do you know what a bathroom definitely needs more than a separate shower and tub? A toilet. So I scaled the bathroom back. I changed it out for the vampire bathtub because I think it looks the best in this room. I removed that art piece that I'm putting down now. I just slide it over to the living room, and it makes more sense for the bathroom because now they're able to have a toilet. And because Andres does have family in Mexico here, I imagine that he would be hosting a lot of people in his home, and he's a businessman, and some of his colleagues did come with him to help out with this venture, that he would also be inviting his colleagues over to the home as well. So we see that play out a little bit more with the family, and that's why I give them some more room to entertain and some more room for them just to host a lot of Sims in one place. And the flooring. I always tend to go for hardwood floors in these homes because I imagine it's very, very hot and very humid, and this house isn't incredibly modern. I don't go with hardwood floors, I go with tile flooring. One, because that's the photo, the inspiration I was using had tile floors, but two, because I also thought it made sense with where they are and what the climate is and what the temperature is. And I never use these like more old-fashioned lights, but because again the house isn't fully modern and fully renovated, I do go ahead and use these lights. I think they suit the home really well. I will say the home is very brown, but I like the way it turns out. I think it adds a kind of warmth and character to the home. And because I'm putting two tables together, it has a sort of like island of sorts, I have to play around with this and wiggle it around a little bit, just because it doesn't make sense with the snapping of the chairs, and I go ahead and fix that. And you see I put a chair in front of the window, and that's because if they're ever inviting a ton of people and that person doesn't have a place to sit, they would just pull that chair up to the end of the table. That's where it sits. But because they don't have people over right now, that chair would usually just sit right next to the coat rack in case anyone came over, and it doesn't take up space that doesn't need to be taken up. And I'm trying to play with the fridge here too, because I always go for the Parenthood one, but I'm doing the Jungle Adventure one here, and I wanted to make it orange, but it didn't make sense. And you'll notice that I put a dryer in the kitchen, and that's because out back they have a wash bin, but inside they have a dryer. And I would normally give like the laundry room its own room, or I put it in like a mud room or the bathroom or something, but I wanted to play around with the idea of having the dryer be in the kitchen, because lots of places in the world actually do that. I would have loved to use that little washy thing for the dishes, the dish rack, there we go, but it didn't fit in, so I had to use this little pastry thing instead, because Andres is actually a really, really good cook, and he likes to bake, so that's something about him. I'm also putting boxes and things of that nature, just clutter kind of everywhere, all over the house, because I imagine that Andres and Maya just recently moved into this home. He would have only just gotten to Mexico like a month ago or something like that. They are newlywed, so they have a lot of stuff with them, and there's a lot of Maya in here, just like the colorfulness and some of the like older things that she's bringing with her. Like this cabinet was part of the home, but like some of the crates and the little things I put in the living room, that stuff is all from her archaeology, like dig, the things that she was able to bring with her. Of course, not everything, because you don't get to keep what you take, but some things she was able to keep. And I remember to put in a trash bin in the kitchen. Trash bin and the mailbox tends to be the easiest things to forget. I absolutely love the swatch of that painting, so I'm putting it up there. And those photos, you have to imagine, is photos of like their family. They keep that up there, and I'm talking about like generations of family, not just their immediate family. And I like this tapestry. I did that something that, again, that Maya would have picked up. And the idea with the home is that not everything matched. Not all the furniture matched. Things kind of mismatched. Not everything's the same shade of wood, because Maya is a kind of sim who likes history. She likes being able to collect things. She likes things with backgrounds and stories, and buying locally. So these are things that they got from local craftsmen, local flea markets, and things of that nature. So there's things with a lot of history in the home. I put a fireplace out back just because I think it makes sense with the aesthetic of the home and what I'm going for. And I use a lot of Jungle Adventure in the the bedroom, because I think it makes sense with what it is, and I use the same color scheme. And this rug, I love that shade, but I go for this one. I know it's a little bit crazy, a little bit overwhelming, but I really like it. And I did play test this, so your sim actually can get into the bed and around. Both of the sims are completely able to use the bed. Nothing is in their way. I love this little statue. Again, that's something that I think Maya would have collected when she was doing her digs and things of that nature. And of course, Maya's little shoe rack. And now it's just the art. And this art here is the little touches of Andres, who really likes this kind of abstract art. And this is where he's able to put his touch in the home, and of course with photos of his family. And that's Maya's archaeology bench, because of course she's an archaeologist. How will she build without it? So the final touches I'm putting in is just any missing space or any walls that I think are blank that shouldn't be, like the herbs, or the little thing where they put their magazines and all the flyers and things of that nature that they pick up. And the bathroom was super hard to like tile, just because the tile on the floor I loved, but it made it so hard to also tile the walls. But I go with this one. It's plain, it's simple, it doesn't match really, but it doesn't clash either, in my opinion. And I never use that buttery yellow color, but I think it really fits in with the home, and I think it adds to that aesthetic of it being an older home. And I use these tiles in the kitchen just because I'm inspired by a photo that I'm using, and I love the like backsplash of that kitchen. And now we move on to the terrain. I want the home to look more tropical in its nature. Now, Oasis Springs is a very deserty world, but I wanted this version of Oasis Springs for me to be more tropical, to be more full of like life, to be very hot, be very humid, and to show that with the wildlife and the plants and things of that nature that grow in there. Count how many times I said things of that nature. And I'm putting it down rocks. I never put down rocks. I'm just trying to make it feel like a more realistic home, something that makes sense. And I think that it still looks too plain here, so I do go ahead and I add like ivy and flowers and things like that to the home, just to give it some more character and to make it feel like it's been around for a long time and it hasn't been a home that just popped up. And you can tell that because of like how the nature is growing up the walls. It would have had to been there for a long time. One of the traits I actually give this home is a custom trait by Kawaii Stacy, and it's just called, I forgot, but it's the history of family trait. And it's just, people who live here have really happy families, and I just like that, and I like that story, and I like that background. Again, the Dominguez family owns this home, but they're renting it out, but they're a lovely family and they're so kind. So now we're just on to screenshots. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in my next video.
I know you feel like you want me, and I guess in a way you do. Holding my breath, unraveling emotions. I need some space to think this through. Call me on now.